my number one advice, don't do it. If the point of being entrepreneur is because you see a problem and you want to solve it, I think that's the only good enough excuse to be an entrepreneur. It's one of the toughest jobs out there.
Hi, everyone. This is Carmen Dervelt, and I will be hosting today's episode of Behind the Founders. Today, joining me will be Cornell. Welcome, Cornell. Would you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Cornell. I'm the CEO and founder of Lumen, where we build pedestrian autonomous driving, first showcased in the glasses for the blind.
Great. Happy to have you here. Could you briefly walk us through what inspired you to start Lumen?
Sure. So, we're famous for building glasses for blind people. And the story actually starts with my story. I was born in a family where everybody but me has a disability. I'm the only person without a disability in my family. That really showed me how much technology can help, but also how little technology exists. So after many years, after a career in the automotive space, I came back to my home country of Romania and I started this company, which we call Lumen, which basically we solve the lack of scalable mobility solutions for visually impaired people.
Okay, great. Yeah, I did have a chance to see, your LinkedIn profile. And shortly before you were launching Lumen, you were also working in Continental for a few years. What was that
That's
like
true.
transitioning from the corporate world into the more entrepreneur founding world?
Sure. First of all, yes, I was head of innovation at Continental. It was a place where I learned a tremendous amount of things. It's a place which had a lot of trust to make me such a senior position from a very, very young age. I was 23 when I became head of innovation. At the same time, it was a very entrepreneurial experience. So I cannot say that I'm the typical from the corporate to the entrepreneur, because I was an entrepreneur even there. But obviously there are a lot of changes, especially responsibility in the end of the day, everything as CEO and founder starts with you. The buck stops with you for everything that's happening. You are the one person responsible for everything that is happening. And it's obviously a bit bigger responsibility than having a very senior role in a corporation, because there you still have support services which can help you in various things. The moment we started this company, everything was depending on us. And I think, a lot of people are thinking of leadership as being on the top of a pyramid, and it's correct. What they're not thinking is that the pyramid is sitting upside down and all the weight sits on your very, very thin top, on which so yeah, definitely, I think I was always more leaning towards entrepreneurial entrepreneurship, because I do like to take very, very complex problems and split them into multiple people, multiple teams, multiple solutions. And although I hate entrepreneurship, it's a bit of a Stockholm syndrome. I do hate it and I love doing it.
Okay, let's talk more about that. You said that you kind of hate entrepreneurship. What do you hate about it?
It's never something which you can just put a pause on. As an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a CEO, you can't simply say, okay, my job is finished at 5 p.m. and that's it. No, my job is nonstop, and I publicly admitted I work a lot. I work 80 hours a week on average. That is my work time since I was 14. So it's just how I'm built. I'm used to. It's nothing which I recommend to other people. I don't expect everybody to do this. I just what works for me. You can't turn as an entrepreneur. You can't like turn a switch and your job is done. Your job is never done. The problems are incredibly complex, especially when entrepreneurship is also a very, very large field. It's a very wide spectrum of, depending on type of business, what we do. We are in deep tech in Europe, in Eastern Europe, in Romania. None of them work well together. And obviously the scale of problems is just incredible, to the amount of stress and the amount of things which is causing. But at the end, I love doing it. I love solving very, very complex problems. I'm an engineer. That's what I know how to do, is to solve problems. But when I say hate, I see a lot of young people, especially, they come to me and to people in positions like mine, and they say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to be a CEO or anything. I'm like, that's the worst possible thing that you want to do. This is a job I will never recommend to anybody. I will never go to somebody and say we need more entrepreneurs. No, I think we have too many entrepreneurs on many things, actually. It's not a kind of job which is not a kind of career which I recommend to anybody, but I think some people are simply more built for it, maybe. On the other hand, I am an entrepreneur because I had no other choice. Because to build the kind of things which we're building, entrepreneurship was the only mechanism to do it. And I think that's why I'm an entrepreneur, because I have no other choice. And if I would have any other choice to build the things which we're building and not be an entrepreneur, I would choose that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about like your personal journey, right? Because you said that you are the only person in the family without a disability. So what do you say from your experience? What is the biggest challenge that you see within the interactions of your family members that really inspired you to want to solve the problem? Because you said, as an engineer, you like to understand how things work. You really like to solve things. So what would you say is the problem that you're really trying to solve?
Mhm. So I think there are a couple of questions in what you said. So I'm going to take them step by step. So my family obviously was a very important inspiration. I come from a family where again everybody has disability. And also vary the disability, not the same disability. So regarding mobility, mental disability, and other disabilities as well. So from a very young age, I was the one which was capable of supporting everybody. Very simple example: my parents would send me to do grocery shopping when I was free. I was the only one who could move in the family, so they couldn't. So I had to. And you grow up in this environment full of ambition because everybody in my family was incredibly ambitious, despite of their disabilities, to actually make sure that myself and my sister have have food on the table and everything. So there was a lot of ambition. I think I got a bit of that from my parents. And at the same time, it was growing up in this environment. It set my mindset towards that. I'm capable of helping, so I should help. So that's I think what comes from my family, my family situation. On the problem which we're solving with Lumen, it's a problem that's much more numerically simple to explain. Today you have 300 million people which are visually impaired. But if you check what solutions they use the same two solutions for thousands of years. They use the guide dog and they use the white cane. And the guiding dog specifically, it's a great solution, but training and taking care of a guide dog, it's immensely expensive. On average, it's more than $200,000 for a single guide dog. It's immensely expensive. And because of this, there are very few. In the entire world, to 300 million people who are visually impaired, you only have 28,000 guiding dogs. And to give an example of my country, of Romania, we have 21 guide dogs to 85,000 blind people. Great solution, not a scalable solution. That's where we come in. What we did, we took self-driving technology and we built a self-driving car, but not one which drives on the road, but actually one which you wear on your head to guide you through the pedestrian world. Its purpose is to replicate what a guiding dog does. So as an analogy, if a guide dog works by pulling your hand, avoiding you from obstacles, keeping you on the sidewalk, taking you to your destination, what we build, we call them the glasses, the dot lumen glasses. They do the same, but they don't pull your hands. They actually pull your head. We have a haptic interface on your forehead. You feel the device, how it pulls you, avoids you from obstacles, keeps you on the sidewalk, takes you to your destination. And this is a technology now which has been tested by over 1,000 blind people, and I have over 1,500 pre-orders in Romania alone. And Romania is not a big market. International is
Yeah.
coming very soon.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about what you're developing. I've seen a couple of articles here and there of what you have been sharing and working on. I see that you also like build those VR glasses.
So we use the same technology as in a self-driving car, but we
Okay,
don't build a
gotcha.
car. But it's
Okay.
the same technology. It's on the head
Hmm.
of people.
Okay.
It's used for guidance. Just as the guide dog is pulling my head, we do exactly what the guide dog is doing, but by pulling your head. It just happens that the
Okay.
technology enabling this to be kind of the same with self-driving cars. We do build the hardware, not because we want to, we are a software company, but because we had no other choice. So we do build the hardware as well. But yeah, it's in the shape of a VR headset. It doesn't go over your eyes, it goes over your forehead because the eyes are not really useful if you have a severe visual impairment. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's basically what we do.
Okay, cool. And in terms of the process of bringing those products to life, how long did it take for you to launch the first one in terms of also the testing phase and so on? Just walk us through the
Five,
process of that.
sure. 5 years, 50 people.
Hmm.
So if
Okay.
you do the math, it took us, I think I've done the math at some point. It took us 170 work years. So it took us
Okay.
if you take all the people who were multiplied by amount of time, it's 170 years of work it took us to get to the first product.
Hmm.
But it's the first of its kind, and there are a lot of things when you're building a product at this level of complexity, which has to be used by a population which doesn't have visual, which cannot rely on neural visual feedback. So it's a medical device. It has to have very high safety. It has to be used by a population which cannot see. So there are a lot of complexities in what we build, and we have solved them all. And now it's an absolutely great product, which people are queuing a lot to get. And I'm actually right next to the manufacturing facility, so this is
Okay.
where it's gonna be manufactured. So
Yeah.
it has been a long battle to get here.
Yeah, I can imagine. What would you say is the biggest challenge that you face while getting there in those 5 years?
No, there are many great challenges which we had, but I think the number one challenge which we had is not giving up. Because when things are so hard, any rational person would give up. Any rational person would give up. knowing how hard this is. And the fact that we were irrational and we didn't quit, I think that's by far the biggest challenge we had. Not giving up was the biggest challenge. Everything else was solved by this resilience. As long as, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know entrepreneurs which are incredibly smart. I know some entrepreneurs which are incredibly stupid. And I was trying to find what is like the common thing which all entrepreneurs have. What's that thing which makes entrepreneurs successful, and what differentiates the successful one from the ones which are not successful? Because it's not knowledge, it's not how smart they are. I can promise you it's not how smart they are. But the one thing which I found is resilience. They don't know how to quit. And that's the thing which I think also got us where we are. We simply did not know how to quit.
So, following on to the next question, tell us a little bit about your team setup because I can imagine, like you said, it's a very collaborative environment. You have a group of people support to be able to make all this possible, right? Walk us through your team setup, the
Sure.
operational aspect.
So we are 60 people right now in Lumen, which is by far the biggest deep tech startup in this part of in Romania, basically, but not only Romania. It's huge. Unfortunately, big startups don't really happen in this part of the world, although they're common in other parts. So we're 60 people in Lumen. The company is split into. We have business development and we have R&D. Those are the two corners of Lumen. R&D develops the products. Business development make sure we have the money to develop the products and make sure that the products are being sold. So that's basically how we are set up. Directly under me, I have a C-level, which is Chief Operating Officer, Chief Business Officer, Chief Investment Officer, Financial, Marketing, and Sales. That's what we have directly under me. And that's kind of a new thing because a year and a half ago, a year ago, we didn't have it. We created this C-level quite recently, actually, as we grew the company. But I have a board, which I'm reporting to, but I'm also part of it. And that's basically the very, very basic structure. But one thing which is very unique, especially in Romania, is very unique for what we do. What we do is the result of some very pluridisciplinary people. So there are so many different things which together work in this building of so different people, such a variety of people which work. And to give an example of this, in the same building we have people who are in the R&D side. We have electrical engineers, software engineers, machine learning, mechanical development, prototyping. But then we have public health. Then we have medics. Then we have neuroscientists. Then we have people on finance and marketing and all of that, and psychology. We have a professor of psychology as well. And all of us are working together in the same place. And that's very unique, unfortunately, very unique for Romania because usually you find a software company, that's pretty much it. But here we have everything. And it's in a very small group of people, we have such a diverse background. And that's very, very unique for what I saw in my country at least. And it really puts a lot of interesting perspectives. When you have a problem, there are many perspectives to solve it. And that's what allows us to create great things which were never created before because we have such diverse people and such amazing people also.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you have a team that are really diverse people. Where are they all from? What kind of backgrounds are they coming from? Are they all on site, remote,
Yes.
based in
So
Romania, or scattered all over the world?
they are not only Romanians, but they're all based in the same building. I know I was listening to you telling me about remote work and everything. I'm not a big, sorry, in what we do, I'm not a big believer of remote, and I can explain why. When I talk about research and development, what we managed to solve is because people are meeting here in the coffee corner and discussing very tough problems which they have. It's something which we can't really know how to do remote in our case. On the business development aspects as well, I think we're so much better and much quicker if we're in the same place. Although we know that will not last forever because as we grow the company, now we're in Romania only and we manage from Romania everything. We know that we're going to have people in other places and we know we're going to have to work very, very well with them. Right now, we rely on distributors and everything, but we see strategically that we need some boots on the ground in various places of the globe, and we're gonna have those places. And that's the next phase for the company, which will follow. But right
Okay.
now, we're all here. We do have a few remote people. I mean, there are some people which more remote than on office,
Okay.
but overall, we are an at office team. And we had a phase in which everybody was allowed to take as many remote days as they wanted, and we were simply not that efficient. We were, I would
Okay.
say, very inefficient in that because
Mhm.
when it's about hardware, when it's about putting hardware and software together, when it's about very tough problems that you have to solve, it's so much easier when you're here. So much easier.
Yeah, definitely. It makes sense, especially like when you're actually building like a physical product as well. It definitely makes a lot of sense that, you have to be on site to be able to make this possible, also for efficiency, also for speed and everything like that. And for the ones who are remote, are they based in other countries outside of Romania, or are they all in Romania?
We do have some people abroad. We do
Okay.
have some people abroad, but a small number, one or two people, depending on the time frame. Otherwise, the people are mostly in Romania, and even for those, we do meet in the office quite often. So we do. There are some things which can work remotely, but there are less than 5% of them. Less than 5% of things work well remotely in our case. That's just the reality of what works for us. I know that's not available for everything. I mean, there's so many things which you can do remotely. The level of collaboration which we need to build certain things here, however, require us to be in the same place. The business development team is predominantly a lot on the road also. So them being a lot on the road, obviously they're more experienced working remotely because their work is remotely with the people to which we're selling what we're selling. But otherwise it's mostly in the office.
Okay. You mentioned just a couple of minutes ago that you are recently growing the team and the marketing side and so on. Besides that, what would you say is the next operational challenge that you're trying to solve?
Wow, there are many here. Well, production is a big one, which I think we kind of solved. That's an important one. And a few other ones is the new directions which we're going. So what we created, we call it pedestrian autonomous driving. So we created the algorithms which know how to do what a self-driving car does on the road, but we know how to do it on the sidewalks, on the pedestrian infrastructure. And we realized we're very good at guiding what we call a legged entity. So from point A to point B, we know how to guide something on legs. It happened that blind people were the first things on legs, but we realized they're not the only things on legs which we can guide. And that's how we got into robotics. So basically now we're taking the technology from our glasses and applying it to robots so that when you order food, a humanoid robot or a quadruped robot will come to deliver it to you. And that's something which really got me excited. We have like a new $11 million grant on it. And we are buying and building and testing robots all the time. And that's a new level of complexity which we're adding to our business. I'm not sure if I would call it operational complexity, but there are some operational things as well.
Of course.
But as we grew the team considerably to be able to build that, and we're gonna continue growing the team. We are very blessed. A lot of people want to work here. We have over 1,000 applicants per month in a company of 50, 60 people, which is absolutely amazing. We have companies just next door. We have 3,000 employees and do not get 1,000 applicants a month. So definitely there are a lot of small things, but I think we got so used with them and we optimized the process so well that it works quickly for us now.
Amazing. Yeah, sounds like it's really taking off in a very positive direction as well. Now that we're talking a little bit about topics about robots and then also a little bit about AI, AI is nowadays a really hot topic.
Mhm.
Everybody's talking about it. It's like surrounding us and so on. Something I love to always ask whenever I have guests in this podcast is, what are your thoughts on AI?
I love it. I love it. I love it for a long time because again, the technology which we built in the glasses work on AI, and we were working on AI before AI was the cool word. World well before ChatGPT and everything, we're building a lot of things on AI because that's the technology which enables the glasses and then robots in our case to work. So we're no stranger to AI. What happened is that it got it got very accessible. The things which we had access before, even in some cases, got very accessible, and now it's easy to have access to the greatest models and to do the thing which you do. I absolutely love AI, and everybody in this company is using AI, not only developing AI, but also using AI to help deliver AI. And it's on all levels. To give an example, we hold bi-weekly training with all colleagues on different departments on what challenge they have and how they can solve it better with AI, ranging from all kind of things, from finance to recruitment to everywhere we see opportunities to optimize or to make a manual process faster, we use AI for. But a very important rule which we have and which I'm really sticking to, we never let not that we don't let AI make decision, because in the end we are making a decision, but we never build processes based on AI. AI is supposed to help us automate things which are more manual. So we always have a manual process which we use AI to help us make it faster or better. But we never create a process because of AI. And that I think is very important. And I unfortunately think that too few people look at it that way, because otherwise the moment the server is down, we're gonna die. And that's something which I will never allow.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I think at the end of the day, it's also about finding the balance as well. As you mentioned that, with AI, it is about automation, it is about efficiency and so on. Could you share with the listeners out there in a little bit more detail about what were some of the things that were really manual before, and with the help of AI, you helped to make processes, make things smoother?
Bunch of them. Invoice registration now we do with AI. Payroll we do with AI. Some aspects of recruitment we optimize with AI. I mean, we train some agents to help us do all the bureaucratic stuff. So we are the ones talking with the people. No AI is talking to our people. But then a lot of the bureaucracy and a lot of the saving information, everything now is done by AI. In financial, I think so many reports and stuff we do right now with AI to make it quicker. We built a lot of internal tools to optimize part of R&D, a lot of parts of R&D which are optimized because of AI. Our entire production is made with tools which is optimized by AI. Obviously development, software development is, I mean, I would be surprised if now more than 50, I would be surprised if 10% of our code right now is written by hand at this point. It's written by AI, but we are the one guiding it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it is always really interesting to reflect on the role that AI plays, in our day-to-day business as well. And there's always about finding the balance of meeting it with the human element, creating creativity, thinking for yourself, and things like that as well. Okay, I would say this. I do have two more questions. And one of the questions is, okay, what is your next goal 6 months from now?
But there are many ones, and I don't want to put a time frame on it. So let's not say 6 months, because putting 6 months will release some information which I don't want to release yet.
Of course,
But
yeah.
to go a bit in the vision side, there are two things which I'm thinking of. And one of it is a very realistic goal, is the following. It took us 5,000 years to train 28,000 guide dogs. So we know about guide dogs for 5,000 years, and the best the world could do is 28,000. The moment we ship more than 28,000 of our devices, we have changed a paradigm which is millennia old. And I'm not sure many people can say that. So that's one of the first things which we want to do. Otherwise, there are so many other things. We're obviously working on the next generation of the glasses to make an even better product than what we have. We're working on the robotics side. We see so many opportunities of things which we can automate for pedestrian delivery. I want, when I order food, a robot to bring it to me from different restaurants. So there's so many great things coming, and they're all happening, and we see them here happening.
Yeah, definitely exciting to see like how, what you're going to be working on next. And I think what you're working on is definitely going to leave a very, very huge impact as well. And I think it's also exciting to also give people who are visually impaired also the chance to be able to make their life, easier and everything like that. And I think with the story that you have from your personal experience, it just blends in really well as well. So, one final question. We did touch a little bit about this during the conversation, but I thought, let's give it a space to revisit and elaborate that further. There's probably going to be a lot of listeners out there listening in, thinking about starting a business, becoming an entrepreneur, but they might have reservations and so on. If there's one piece of advice and whatever you can think of, anything like that you can pass on to, what would it be?
Don't do it. I mean, okay, let me go in detail. If the point of being entrepreneur is because you see a problem and you want to solve it, you see how you can bring value to people, I think that's the only good enough excuse to be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, I don't see many advantages in being an entrepreneur. It's one of the toughest jobs out there. And as you know, as being a CEO, 99% of your time is bad news, and you work for that 1%. So I'm not even sure that's an advice. Be ready for 99% of bad news of your time to be bad news and problems to solve, because that's what it is. Be an entrepreneur if you really want to bring value. And entrepreneurship is the only way you can. Otherwise, don't. There's so many other great things you can do. There's so many careers that you can have. Entrepreneurship requires passion in a particular field. So if you want to start a business, start because you have a deep passion in that, because the moment it gets very, very tough, and it will get very, very tough, you want something to drive, and passion is one of it. So yeah, I think that would be. Otherwise, no, you have to be incredibly resilient. Incredibly resilient. Entrepreneurship is tough. It's
Mhm.
incredibly tough.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to being driven with a passion, being driven with solving a problem that hasn't been solved yet. And also, as you mentioned, also making sure that you're having resilience and dealing with multiple setbacks and to continuously keep on going what you got to do. Cornell, thank you so much again for coming on. This is Behind the Founders with Carmen Derva. Be sure to stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you.